Hello everyone! Welcome to the second part of Why Did You Ask Me to Join Your Relationship challenge. This time with KyouHabaKinKuni as a little prelude to what's about to come in Wombtober. So I hope you are looking forward to this. As always, special thanks to my lovely patrons and all of you who subscribe and watch these videos. You're keeping this channel alive and going. Thank you very much, and I hope you will enjoy. As expected, Kunimi wasn't overjoyed by the idea of doing the challenge, but Kindaichi knew he would come around eventually. He could tell his boyfriend's curiosity was piqued by the little furrow of his brow. After all, he was far from being indifferent when it came to their relationship. So, what exactly are we trying to achieve? I don't know. Conversation? I'd like to know why they asked us back then. Are you sure that's something we should drag out? What, you think they'll change their minds just because we ask? Kunimi shrugged, but Kindaichi knew him long enough to see his shoulder tense up ever so slightly. He could try to hide it as much as he wanted, but the truth was, if their relationship was about to end, it would impact both of them equally heavily. However, he doubted a simple question could lead to that. They've been through worse already. Let's just go ahead and see. Maybe we'll learn something new. Sighing, Kunimi rolled his eyes, but still got up from where he lounged on the bed. Well, let's hope it's not going to be a reality check. Come on, don't be negative. He followed after Kunimi, stifling a laugh when he saw him already steering stammering Yahaba to the table. He would go about it more gently with Yahaba, but what was done was done. Wait, I have a pot on the stove. It's not boiling yet, is it? I'll turn it off, no worries. Yahaba looked like he wanted to protest further, but Kunimi pushed him into the chair and settled opposite him, holding his hands to prevent him from leaving. Though Kindaichi was sure it was for another reason beside the challenge. He joined them shortly after turning the stove off, taking note of the startled look in Yahaba's eyes as they darted from one to the other. What's going on? We want to ask you something. Aki just has a very quirky way of getting your attention. Kunimi clicked his tongue, visibly offended. I just want him to rest a bit, and focus on the question. Now you're really making me worried. Kindaichi paused, gently tapping on Kunimi's thigh under the table. With Yahaba, there was worried, and worried. And right now, he seemed more than just concerned. It had been much worse than usual since the night he had trouble sleeping, and while they did their best to disperse Shigeru's fears, it seemed like it didn't help as much as they thought. He leaned over the table to squeeze Yahaba's hand, caressing his knuckles how he saw Gyotani do whenever Yahaba was distressed. It's just a question, I promise. Nothing serious. It didn't help much, but at least Yahaba no longer looked like he was about to jump out of his skin. Okay, then what is it? We were wondering. You were. We were wondering, why did you want to date us? Like, why did you ask us to join your relationship back then? Yahaba stilled, the worried look in his eyes returning along with the previous tension, much to Kindaichi's concern. Is something wrong? Something was wrong, but not concerning the question. Or perhaps yes, Kindaichi couldn't tell. He tried his best to look unbothered though, and even managed to smile. No, not at all. It's just that we've been together for a year already and we never really talked about it. Yeah, the only things you told us back then was that you noticed we were in love with you, that you reciprocate, and that maybe we could try being all together. Yahaba withdrew his hands, the motion sounding alarm bells in Gindaichi's head. Well, yeah, that was the reason. I don't follow. Did something make you doubt, or... No, please, settle down. It's just curiosity. Apparently feeling something was off too, Kunimi pushed his chair closer to Yahaba's side, reaching for his hand again. We are glad you asked, really. But you and Ken seemed happy on your own, so why bring more people into the relationship? For a long while, Yahaba stayed silent, nervousness almost seeping from him as his eyes darted around, almost like a little animal expecting an attack. Gindaichi's heart ached seeing him so unlike his old self they were used to in high school, the sight of this throat becoming all too familiar lately. But perhaps if they talked about whatever Shigeru's mind was overthinking right now, they could help him deal with it. He hoped that would be the case. I guess I wanted to prevent pain. His voice was so quiet, Gindaichi wasn't entirely sure he heard right at first. Pain? Yeah, like heartbreak pain, I mean. I liked you before that, a lot. Not as much as Ken, but it was still love, I think. I wouldn't ask otherwise. But it felt like I was betraying Ken's trust with thinking about someone else too. So when I found out you liked us too, I thought maybe it was a solution. He let out a strange sound, something between a sigh and a guilty chuckle while averting his eyes. It sounds selfish when I say it like that, doesn't it? It doesn't. Sometimes you gotta do things for yourself. Yeah, and it worked out pretty well too in the end, no? Yahaba smiled sadly, his face not matching his words at all. Yeah, it did. What's wrong? Gindaichi shivered, unsure what to say or do when Yahaba's shoulders slumped. Their reassurance seemed to have little to no effect, and somehow they managed to push Shigeru into even deeper anguish if he could go by his expression. Shige. It's nothing. Just, now that I think about it, I'm wondering if Ken went along just to keep the peace with me. Peace. The whole sentence weirded him out. Why would Kyodane need to keep peace between them? And why did that prospect make Yahaba so sad? Would that change anything? Yahaba shrugged, though there was nothing of his usual lightheartedness in the motion. I guess not. He loves both of you. Then there's nothing to worry about. Right. Gindaichi furrowed his brow. Something about the way Yahaba said both of you, urging him to correct to all of us instead. Because that was the truth, right? Kentaro loved all of them, otherwise he would hardly allow their current relationship set up around him. But even though his feelings probably weren't equally distributed between the three of them, there was no doubt Yahaba was the love of his life. So why the sudden doubt? Was that answer enough for you? Answer that brought him even more questions, more like. But he couldn't say that out loud, nor ask any of the other questions. Not now. Not when Yahaba seemed distressed already. Yeah. I mean, whatever the reason was, I'm glad you asked. Yep, same. At last, that lured smile from Yahaba and chased some of the shadows from his face, but Kindaichi wasn't naive to think everything was alright again. And so he leaned in for a kiss before motioning to the kitchen. Can we help you with something? Or even better, what were you making so we can continue? You've been cooking for us the whole week, you should take a break for once. It's fine, really. I don't mind. But if you want to help, you can cut the veggies and cook the rice for me. Sure thing. He gently kicked Kunimi under the table. Kunimi groaned quietly, but got up anyway and went ahead, calling dibs on rice along the way. Kindaichi snickered, feeling the tension slowly disappear from the air as they slid into their usual light-hearted debates while they worked on their dinner. Catching Kyotani alone was a task in itself. Since Kunimi told him that Yahaba was feeling lonely, he spent almost every free moment he had at home rotating around their boyfriend. Of course, he didn't forget Kunimi or Kindaichi, but the division of attention shifted slightly in the last week or so. It was kind of heartbreaking when Kindaichi thought about it. It was 4 of them in the relationship, and yet they couldn't prevent one of them from feeling lonely. Though there seemed to be something deeper in the issue, something that made Kyotani nervous. He just didn't know what it was. Still, he was determined to do the challenge with Kyotani, and if he could judge by the way Kunimi rocked on his feet while they waited, they were both curious about the answer. With Yahaba, the reason was pretty clear, though it was nice to have a confirmation. However, Kyotani was never the one to warm up to people, with the exception of Iwaizumi and Yahaba. So why did he agree? Kindaichi refused to believe it was just so he didn't have to argue with Shigeru. Meaning, something had to change in the past, since Kyotani never seemed to enjoy their company enough to date them. Why don't we just ask him tomorrow? Rolling his eyes, he gently nudged Kunimi's side, earning a displeased grunt. Because we both have morning practice tomorrow, and Shigeru has short shift, so he will be here in the evening. Today is the only chance to ask him when he's alone with us. Kunimi whined some more, stretching like a big cat before he made himself comfortable by Kindaichi's side. Fine, wake me up when he arrives. Kindaichi sighed but let him be, glad that he was getting at least some sleep, and also that he finally got to be the pillow again, as strange as it sounded. It was this kind of soft affection he missed sometimes despite having 2 more people than usual to go for it. But with Kunimi it was special. More familiar perhaps. As much as he loved Yahaba, it wasn't the same. And with Kyotani, he still wasn't entirely sure how to call his feelings for him. Or the other way around for the matter. The main door clicked softly, letting him know the object of his thoughts just arrived. He gently jabbed into Kunimi to wake him up, but then his attention was fully captured by the rough hand caressing his cheek and the kiss landing on his temple. He's so gentle when he wants to be. No wonder Aki wants to cuddle him so much. Don't tell me you were waiting for me the whole time. It's fine, it wasn't that long. Speak for yourself. Apparently amused, Kyotani waited until Kunimi finished stretching and then kissed him too, earning an almost blissful purr. Kindaichi quickly squashed the thorn of jealousy pinching his heart and reached for Kyotani's hand to stop him from leaving. Can you come here for a moment? Sure, if you don't mind me smelling like a gym.
It's fine. Kyotani shrugged and then settled opposite them, leaving his sports bag tossed aside along the way.
Alright, what's up?
We just have a question for you. Why did you want us to join your relationship? For a while, a complete silence settled in the house, making Kindaichi squirm inwardly. Kyotani seemed confused at first, before his expression melted into that of a genuine curiosity.
What brought this up?
We were just wondering. You know, since I don't remember you having any feelings towards us before you asked. In fact, he would go as far as to say Kyotani actively ignored them most of the time when they were still in high school, and then during the occasional team meetup, he looked too absorbed by his crush on Yahaba to pay them much attention. And yet, he suddenly agreed to try polyamorous relationship with them. Kyotani thought about it for a while, the little motions in his face accompanying that, melting Kindaichi's heart. How could someone so scary-looking on the first glance suddenly turn into the most adorable pupper? He had no idea, but he found a certain level of pride in knowing he was one of the very few people who got to see it.
I'm actually not entirely sure about that. Not having feelings for you two before, I mean.
Surprised, Kindaichi blinked a few times, having to repeat that for a second time in his head before the words registered properly. Are you serious?
Yeah. I never really thought about it until Shike brought it up, but thinking back to it, I'm pretty sure I wasn't indifferent towards you.
That was a bombshell. Judging by Kunimi's expression, he was just as shocked to hear Kyotani say that, especially so casually. Where was the time anything feelings related had to be pried out of Kyotani's stubborn mouth with inhuman force? Apparently, he matured more than Kindaichi gave him credit for. Shige thinks you went along just because of him, to keep peace.
Kyotani grimaced. Nah, as harsh as it could have been, I wouldn't let anyone I didn't feel anything for come in between us. I guess we got lucky it worked out like this. I think it would break his heart if I refused. He would never say it, just toughen through it like always, but it would hurt.
The concern Kindaichi was already familiar with flushed over his face, a pain that had nothing to do with physical kind lacing his voice. He was right in the end. Yahaba would keep it to himself and move forward with a forced smile, no matter how much he was hurting. It had always been like that, a remnant of his upbringing if Kindaichi understood it correctly. They never talked about it, but the fact was, Yahaba seemed scared anytime his family was brought up. Unlike Kyotani, who just looked pissed. And as much as Kindaichi wanted to know the truth, he couldn't find the courage to ask straight up. Deliberately causing pain to his boyfriend with his intrusive questions was the last thing on his life agenda.
So, you actually wanted us around?
Akira for sure.
You... not that much back then?
Before Kindaichi could start to feel any kind of way about it, Kyotani reached over the coffee table to squeeze his hand as a silent apology.
I wasn't sure about you yet.
That's fine. We didn't even talk that much then.
Yeah. But I'm glad you two come as a package deal.
Thanks. Chuckling at Kunimi's unamused tone, Kyotani got up and ruffled his hair before he headed to the kitchen to fetch himself a protein bar.
I'm serious. Sure, there are some bumps here and there, but overall, I'm glad we asked. good to know we aren't just some annoying tenants you sometimes sleep with.
Okay.
What? It's true.
That's just an added bonus.
Heat creeping up his cheeks, Kindaichi swatted emptily at him, earning a short laugh as Kyotane easily moved out of his reach before he went to take the deserved shower. Kunimi then shrugged and plopped down on Kindaichi's lap, apparently more than content. That was nice.
What, the answer?
Yeah. It's reassuring we aren't here just to fill numbers, no?
I guess.
He had to admit Kunimi was right. It was nice to know the people he loved didn't think they made a mistake with inviting them to join their already content relationship. The only unfortunate thing was they might have caused Shigeru to doubt that relationship. Considering he was already feeling lonely, it wasn't ideal in the slightest. He let his thoughts wander for a while, lulled into relaxation by Kunimi's soft breathing and the muffled sound of running water from the bathroom. They led a comfortable life indeed, and the more it bothered him when one of them was feeling down.
We haven't gone on a date for a while.
Kunimi looked up, his eyebrow raised. Like the two of us?
All of us. I mean, we did some one-on-one dates, but we haven't been on a group date for ages. True.
Kindaichi startled when the deep voice sounded behind his back, almost making him throw Kunimi's head off of his lap. Kyotane gave him an apologetic smile and leaned over the back of the couch to gently pinch Kunimi's cheek.
Do you have something in mind?
There's new cinema opening downtown. I thought we could check it out.
That's not a bad idea. We haven't done a cinema date yet.
Yeah, and whose fault is that? Not mine. Your movie taste just sucks.
Hey. Okay, calm down, both of you. It doesn't matter anyway. We'll still end up watching what Shige wants because you are too whipped to tell him no.
Kunimi clicked his tongue. Says the biggest simp. They glared at each other for a while until Kunimi gave up, pouting like a little kid. Fine, but it's hard to tell him no.
You understand my predicament then?
Come on, stop that. Maybe it's going to bring him to different thoughts. He looked pretty anxious after we asked him. Silence settled around, much more tense than the previous quiet moments they shared.
Okay, well, let's do it then.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. As I said, this is a prelude to what's about to come in Wombtober, which, as I said, is going to be focused on Polyships. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I actually have things done for Wombtober this time around. Not as much as I would like to, but there is a lot that's coming. Apart from the challenges, you will also get the Wombtober stuff. So, again, I hope you are looking forward to it. It's going to be more angst than Womb, I suppose, but hey, I think you will like it regardless. If you have any requests or ideas, the request form is linked in the video description. See you next time!